This is a Global Original Podcast. I've got a good one for you this week. It was from January 2020. We had just heard about this invisible menace coming from Wuhan in China, but it didn't detain us much because we didn't really think a lot about it. If only we knew. On this week's episode, the church came out against civil ceremonies. Donald Trump announced his Space Force. We were a week away from our glorious future outside the European Union. And I declare war on trees.
Hello, boys.
Yes, I'm looking at a picture of the brand new Space Force logo. We're going into space. It'll be fantastic. It does look like something that the Jetsons would have come up with. Or maybe Tintin would wear it on his jacket before entering his red and white rocket ship. It actually looks a bit Russian. Maybe Putin, rootin' tootin' shootin' Putin, dictated it over the phone. It says United States Space Force around the outside, and well, I suppose it's supposed to be a rocket, over the Earth with what could be an intercontinental ballistic missile circling it. And one big star because, that's what God wants. I'm sure that's supposed to represent God. And right at the bottom it says, it's got the number, the year in Roman numerals. Does anybody know why we still do that?
No.
Why Roman numerals? Why can't you just write it in numbers? It says MMXIX, or as Donald Trump would say, 6. But, if aliens from space were attracted by that logo and came to find out what we were all about and asked to be sent to our leader, we'd have to send them to him.
A president! Can you believe it?
And then they'd dust off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. Chesterfield. Hello, Philip.
Hello, Nick.
Hello there, Philip.
Some while ago, you mentioned something about the eating of meat being the cause of global warming.
Yeah.
I've yet to see any fog or smog that's been caused by cattle farting.
Well, apparently it's not coming out the back end. The methane emissions come out the front end. It's burping.
Well, they have to chew it twice. I suppose they have to, don't they? I don't think if I was chewing mine twice.
Chew it twice?
Disgusting.
That is horrible. Why can't they chew it once?
Not quite as bad as rabbits, though.
Why? What do they do?
Well, that has to pass right through them once, and then they chew it again.
Oh, please. Keep it clean, Philip. That's vile.
But it's true.
I don't think that's true at all. Is it?
It is.
It can't possibly be true.
It is true. The droppings that you find in the evening or the morning are different to those that you find. They have to pass it through the system twice.
Oh.
Because they haven't got the stomach. And what is a cow? It's got about 4 stomachs or something, hasn't it? A cow.
That's 3 stomachs too many, in my opinion.
It is if it's causing all that burping.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks for the news, Sir Philip. There you go. A word from rural England. I'll have to take his word for it. No, it's not coming out the back end. It's what comes out the front end that is the problem, apparently. Although there is a certain additive that they can put in cow feed that prevents them from doing that. I can't remember what it is. A farmer will know. The difficulty is asking them because you've got to walk over their land and they don't like that. Simon texts, instead of getting married, just give half your house away to a... Instead of getting married, just give half your house away to a woman you don't like. That sounds like one of them Viz top tips. You're not stealing material, are you, Simon? That's my job. Tamily tweets, I can't understand the difference between a civil partnership or getting married. You're still making a commitment to each other and it doesn't need to be religious. You can do it at the registry office or have a civil ceremony. Yeah, that might be the issue, Tamily. The issue might be all about the money, honey. Unless they have spoken directly to God and he personally told them that he's against civil ceremonies. I am just stunned that the Church of England, or any religion really, still these days still has the nerve, after everything that we've seen in the news, everything that they've covered up, all of the, well, let's be bold about it, all of the raping that has gone on under the nose of the establishment of those religions that they have serially covered up. They're still telling us about morals. I just can't believe it. And newspaper journalists are writing it down, making sure they get every word and putting it on the front page. This is the word from the representative of God on earth. Amazing. Tina says, when are thick people going to understand that trees, etc., act as filters for our air and are necessary and are a necessity for human life? So plant more trees now. No, Tina, it's trees are the problem. You don't get it. They pump out CO2. It's the trees that are taking our precious oxygen and turning it into CO2. So we must kill more trees. I think that's part of that million tree pledge. That, or was it billion? It was 1 million or 1 billion. I can't remember. It was some large number, some unfeasibly large number. I think the Irish were all about this. They're going to kill 1 billion trees to save the planet. I think that you'll find that that is correct. I'm pretty sure I got that right. Now, the other thing this week, as apparently there's not one single person who's remotely interested in talking about religion. Oh, okay then. Look at that switchboard. It is DEED, dead. So the other thing that happened this week was our, and let's not forget, only a week away, our glorious exit from the European Union. Oh, damn, I bonged too quickly. Premature ebongulation. It's happening to me almost on a daily basis now. Are our bongs going to ring, by the way? Have they sorted that out, one way or the other? Will our bongs be ringing? I could substitute any old sound you like. How about that? How about we ring that bell? Somebody on the inside should do that. Just promise the partiers out in, the Dad's Army types out in Parliament Square who are going to be celebrating our glorious exit from our evil European overlords. Yeah, we're absolutely going to give you, don't you worry about a thing. We've restored the clapper. Everything's going to be fine.
The whole world's gone crazy.
Yes, the old bag is right. Scott texts, oh my bleeping God, Space Force? What kind of planet are we living on, says Scott. Give me a one-way ticket. I'd rather take my chances in space, which is so terrible it literally makes your eyes pop out, than live on this ball of stupid. If there are aliens in space looking down at this planet, I bet that's their nickname for us. The big blue ball of stupid. Well, they wouldn't be far out. I mean, look who we've elected.
I'm president. Can you believe it?
Yeah. And
Yeah. Wait a minute.
these are the best of us.
You're better informed than I am. I don't know anything.
I don't know anything. He doesn't know anything.
I know nothing.
He doesn't know anything. There's no strategy.
There's no strategy. I have no strategy. There's zero strategy.
But he does know about wind.
I know a lot about wind.
Maz says you've got it wrong. What? Trees/plants give us oxygen and breath in CO2. Breathe, perhaps? I'll read it again. Trees/plants give us oxygen and breathe in CO2. We need the trees. No, Maz. Listen to me. Trees are the enemy. They're sucking up our precious oxygen and squirting out CO2. That is an actual fact. Simple Simon says, off to my nearest major town who's celebrating it officially. Off to my nearest major town who's celebrating it officially. I'd like to go to London, but most are in mourning, so I respect that. Most people who voted Remain did so for reasons as valid as our own. I almost did, but I reflected what democracy meant for me. Does any of that make sense?
No.
Fits right in. Shall I try to unpick it?
No.
So he's off to his nearest major town, where we have absolutely no idea where that might be. He'd like to go to London, but most people in London are in mourning. Not that I've seen. He said, most people who voted Remain did so for reasons as valid as our own. Our own. Who's our in this? And how do you know what reasons most people voted Remain for? I almost did, says Simon, so it doesn't imply that he actually voted to leave, but it's just that he almost voted Remain. So he went to the booth and he hovered his pencil above the box, but then decided, he couldn't be bothered to actually make the cross. You know, he's expended all of his effort actually going to the polling booth. But then he reflected what democracy meant for him. It's utterly meaningless. But I certainly am glad that I spent so long picking it apart. Darryl texts, at the moment the UK can't even get the USA to extradite someone who falsely claimed to have diplomatic immunity. But don't worry, I'm sure when it comes to a trade deal with the USA, they'll be really nice to us. Well, if there's one thing that we know about Donald Trump, he's a very nice person.
Donald Trump is not a nice person.
Yeah, we are doomed. And I think it was Ian Duncan Smith. I was reading his column today in the Daily Tory Graph, and he actually said in his column, the way to stick it to the European Union is we first must get a huge and tremendous trade deal with Donald Trump's United States of America. And then we'll use that as leverage to get the EU to give us what we want. Which is, well, you say it, Boris.
I think he's betraying a quite stupefying ignorance.
Because, you know what? America reads papers too. And they'll read, well, this country is trying to use us as leverage against the European Union. So guess what? We're going to give Britain everything they want. Right? Wrong. You don't tell people they're being used as leverage before you've actually signed on the line. And then he spent the rest of the column trying to persuade us how concerned he and the Conservative Party are for the plight of the poor. I had no idea it turned into a comedy organ, the Daily Telegraph. I like the cartoon on the front page and the crossword on the back. It's what's in between that concerns me. Leicester. Hello, David.
Hello. I'm looking forward to this time next week.
Oh, won't it be fabulous? Freedom!
Freedom.
Yeah, I can smell it from here.
I shall be travelling all the way from Leicester down to Parliament.
Will you?
Yeah. So, kind of great crash in LBC Studios at when the party's finished?
Yeah, we'll double security. Anyone's welcome to have a go.
Anyway, I don't think Trump's the most powerful man in the world. I think it's Putin.
Not really.
No. You think about it.
No, well, I'm not thinking about it because it's not true. He's not remotely the most powerful man in the world. He's the most powerful man in Russia, but that's about as far as it goes. I mean, the Russian economy is in the toilet. All they've got is gas and oil, and the whole world is trying to extricate itself from its dependence on those two things.
Well, Europe's not doing a good job at gas.
We are doing a tremendously good job. I mean, in this country in particular, we just
this country I'll agree on.
Yeah,
but not Europe. Most of Western Europe's supplied through the Ukraine and through Russia.
Well, some of the oil that they use is.
No, I'm on about the gas. My apology.
Okay, well, some of the gas that they use is.
Most of it is.
Okay. Well, I don't know what the precise numbers are any more than you do, but let's say most of them are. So what?
What
we've got to get it from somewhere.
What America's doing and Mr. Trump is doing, He's made America totally fuel independent.
Okay, he hasn't. He hasn't.
All right, he has.
It had nothing to do with him. I know he takes credit for anything that happens while he's been the president, but it had nothing to do with him. But anyway, go on.
Well, okay. We should be promoting fracking. I mean,
no. Well, apart from the ruining the environment that surrounds a
where's
fracking
the evidence?
site. Where's the evidence?
I don't see any evidence.
Just go to. Well, you haven't looked, have you, David?
Well, what should happen to
Do
my
you
search
have the
engine?
internet in Leicester?
I have the internet in
Right.
front
Well,
of me,
then,
yeah.
then look it up. I mean, it's not difficult, David. God, I have this conversation so many times with people. They call in with some old nonsense and say, "Oh, well, there's no evidence for the existence of oxygen." There's absolutely no evidence that fracking is damaging in any way, shape, or form. Where is the evidence? They will say. You just point your computer at an internet and look it up. Thank you, Tim Berners-Lee, for the internet. It has provided people with the excuse to watch dog videos all day long. But apart from that, we aren't using it. Well, we're buying stuff that we can't afford with money we haven't got to be delivered by people wearing shorts in the winter. But apart from that, we don't use it. We don't use it as a tool of information. Certainly not. Why would we do that? No, we just make something up, or at best read what somebody unknown has written from somewhere unknown about something that we know nothing about, and we think, oh yeah, I'm going to believe that. And then they refuse to take on board any further information. Yeah, there's no evidence that fracking is damaging the environment. Where's the evidence, he'll say? It's everywhere, David. You just have to look it up. I just don't have... I mean, I'm sorry if this I sound brusque, but I've had it with people like you. Honestly, I have. It's not like it used to be. You had to put on your hat, coat, scarf and gloves and go down the library. I mean, how would you even look up something like that? You'd have to go to maybe a different town to look at a business library or some sort of further place of intelligence gathering. And you'd have to do your own research. Now it takes 5 seconds and people still are unprepared to do that. Where's the evidence? Well, if you don't have it written down in front of you, David, then there is no evidence. It doesn't exist. Maz texts again, "You're wrong," spelt wrong. You're wrong is spelt wrong, Maz. He says, you're wrong. We need trees for oxygen. Look it up. I most certainly will do nothing of the sort. I have already made up my mind based on no information of any kind whatsoever, and I refuse to look it up. No, trees are the enemy. We must concrete over all of our forests straight away to save the human race. Molly says, Donald Trump informed the audience at Davos this week that as well as inventing the light bulb, America also invented the wheel. Wheelie. God help us all, says Molly. Yeah, well, God's not going to help us all. If he sat out every single war, every single death, billions and billions of people begging to survive, ignored every single one of them, then I don't think he's going to step in now. Or she. Sexist. Sue says, you are wrong. What? Photosynthesis is using carbon dioxide to convert light energy into glucose and release oxygen. Pfft, rubbish. Tottenham. Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
Hello.
I agree with you. Do you know, I'm glad you've mentioned this before I go on to my main point.
Yeah. You have more than one point?
No, I've always had a sneaking suspicion about trees.
Yeah.
They're quite evil.
They're quiet. They sneak up.
Well, they're quietly evil. Have you ever walked by a tree?
They sneak up on you, is what they do.
Well, underneath them, it's always full of chewed up chewing gum and old cigarette stumps.
If you say so.
Yeah, honestly, especially in Tottenham. Anyway, what I was going to say...
They don't have any trees in Tottenham.
We have lots of trees.
I don't think so. Anyway, go on.
Or maybe they've taken the trees away and just left the...
Yeah, well, they should do. Those trees should be in prison. But anyway.
I'd lock them up immediately. Ask questions later. I didn't really have a comment. I'm
glad that you called.
I'm just looking. I've been from one end of London to the next today, looking for fireworks for Friday.
Fireworks.
Yeah, right. And I was just wondering whether any listeners had any suggestions.
I don't think they sell fireworks outside of a couple of weeks around November the 5th, and you might be able to get them around New Year's. But I think they deliberately don't do that in order to limit the amount of explosives they put in teenagers' hands.
Well, I'm hardly a teenager. I'm a bit more responsible than that.
Well,
and I've been in the garden
I'll be the
tonight
judge of that. Yes.
With a can of silly string.
Whose garden?
My garden.
Oh, well, that's a relief. What does silly string taste like, by the way?
I wouldn't know.
Well, try some and let me know how it works out for you. All right? Thanks a lot, Stephen. This anonymous text says, have you ever considered taking over as the Question Time host? With your style and panache, remind me to look up the word panache. It's probably an insult. And your sounds bite board, you would expose these idiot Chancellor politicians who rule over us. It doesn't need a dope like me to expose them. They self-expose on a regular basis.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Yeah. All definitions of the phrase expose. This says, why do we have to get bleached chicken from the US? Can we not bleach our own chickens? Yeah, that way it would all be white meat. Yeah, Ian Duncan Smith was banging on about this. Honestly, if you could, if it's still available on the World Wide Web, you should read his column in the Telegraph. It was, the more I think about it, the more amusing it is. He was saying something in the order of, nobody should be afraid of the chlorinated chicken. What has chlorinated chicken ever done negatively to anybody? It's yummy, he said, or words to that effect. And it's not the chlorinated part that's the problem. It's why they have to wash their chicken in chlorine, you double-barreled numpty. It's because they stand up to their necks in chicken poop and they get sores on their skin and cancerous growths and all the rest of that vile stuff that comes with the intense farming that there's going on in America. That's why they have to wash it in chlorine to kill all the feces. I love the taste of chicken covered in feces in the morning. Smells like freedom. This says, next week, oven-baked Britain. Can't wait to ditch Europe and return to imperialism and start conquering everyone again. Yes, look out, world. We're on the march. Who do you think you are kidding? If you think we're on the run. Must stop singing. Tina says, Africa got droughts and hunger and locusts. Australia got fires and floods and more fires. Britain got poverty and pollution. Brazil got diminishing rainforests. The Atlantic got melting ice, which will cause sea levels to rise. The Philippines got a volcano, and China got a killer virus. And our government wants to spend billions on a train. On a train. Doesn't make sense, said Tina. Well, if you put it like that, well, yeah. The government should be spending billions on a boat to float us all out of here. We're going to need one. If Greta Thunberg is correct. Donald Trump picking a fight with a teenage girl. Again, a teenage schoolgirl. Donald Trump picking a fight again. And the religious right in America is whooping and cheering. They are such hypocrites. It's staggering. The Republican Party. Is there a more hypocritical organisation on the face of the earth than the Republican Party? Used to be the party of God. Or pretended they were. People like that use God as a weapon to beat other people into submission with. Yes, we're giving tax cuts to millionaires because that's what God would want. Right. Jimmy says, you are very right about the trees that produce a lot of CO2. The proof lays in Australia after the fires. See? Proof if need be, need be. Anyway, back to this trade war. You remember Sajid Javid?
No!
Yes, that's him. Well, the Saj man said that this tax on the tech giants, a 2% levy on the revenues of the search engines and the social media platforms and the online marketplaces, which derive value from UK users, will be introduced. 2%! Wow! A whole 2%! That's really going to make a difference, isn't it?
No.
If Trump's having a fit about asking politely if the tech companies, the most cash-rich companies in the world, wouldn't mind paying 2% tax. If Trump's having a fit about that, can you imagine what he'd do if we demanded that they, actually pay their fair share in tax, like a normal company, and not bend themselves into yoga shapes to get through the loopholes in the tax laws? And as we are crawling across the carpet, begging for a huge and tremendous trade deal from America with which to leverage our trading negotiations with the EU, then it seems unlikely that he's going to do us any favours, because that's not who he is. Have we learnt nothing? Donald Trump is not a nice person.
Donald Trump is a very nice person.
Well, I got that wrong. So he's actually going on television and writing columns that say we need to get back at the evil EU to cement a huge trade deal with America, and then we'll have leverage. Ian Duncan Smith actually wrote that in the Telegraph, thereby showing our hand to the, as though they didn't know already, but underlining it to the Americans, that we will use them as leverage against the EU. Rather gives all the leverage to the United States. But, don't ask me. I know nothing.
I know nothing.
The U.S. Treasury Secretary, Steve Mnuchin, said the proposed digital services tax discriminated against U.S. multinationals. It's that bully thing again, isn't it? Bully charges around the playground, punching people in the face, and then screams to teacher when anybody puts their hands up to defend themselves. Discriminated against US multinationals. You've got to be kidding me. We're discriminating against Amazon and Google and Facebook, those people. The trillion-dollar companies, those people. And he said that there would be retaliation if we even thought about doing something that he, Donald Trump, did not approve of, which would probably be a tax on UK car exports to the US, which would be taxed at 25%, thereby ruining our car industry. This is what we've got to look forward to. I can't believe that we're actually doing this. This is probably the stupidest thing that any country on earth has ever done in history. I mean, other countries have done stupid things, but they didn't know that they were stupid when they did them. Every single person that's had sight of this knows that this is a stupid thing to do. We're walking away from the biggest trading bloc in the world. No other country, no other developed nation has ever done anything like what we're about to do. And we've got our leader telling us that, don't worry, everything's going to be fine.
Here we go.
Yeah,
okay.
He tassels his hair and unruffles his jacket, or ruffles his jacket, and tells us that it's going to be easy. God, they've been telling us that for 3 years now. Easy peasy. Don't worry about a thing. Boris Johnson has everything under control.
Oh, no.
And America's threatened this before. In fact, that's at least 2 times in the last week or so that Americans have threatened to ruin our economy unless we do what they say. Unless we back them on Iran was the last one. Unless we back them on Iran and potentially walk into another war in the Middle East based on lies, unless we back up Donald Trump's lies on Iran, he was going to tax our car industry to death. And now he's threatened the exact same thing if we have an independent policy on tax, which I thought was what leaving the EU was supposed to be partly about. Setting our own laws, isn't it? We've hopped down from our seat at the table to sit at the feet of a giant, orange, unfit owner to wait for whatever scraps he wants to throw our way. And if we were a dog, the RSPCA would be suing him.
I make $400 million a year, so what difference does it make?
And that's it. If you subscribe to this podcast, the next episode will get squirted up your life as though by magic on Mondays. And don't forget the other podcasts that I do. There's the one with Carol McGiffin called What's Your Problem with Nick and Carol?, in which the delightful Carol and I try to solve people's problems while maintaining a straight face with variable success. If you want us to have a bash at your issue, send it to the following address, nickandcarol@global.com. That's nickandcarol @global.com. And prepare for some satisfaction. There's also the podcast called The Whole Show, which is, as it sounds, the whole show that I do on the radio Friday and Saturday nights. We take the news and the ads out, which means it takes less time to listen to. You'll use less electricity, and eco-warriors won't have to glue themselves to you. And I'll be back on the radio Friday, Saturday, Sunday night at 10. And until then, I'll be seeing you.
Bye-bye.